Hey, what's up? Welcome to the free training. This is going to be how to scale to 5,000 a month without YouTube or BeatStars. You're going to get so much value out of this training. I'm going to cut to the chase and we're going to jump right into it. So who am I? I am a platinum music producer. You can see that I produce Rod Wave's Freestyle below. It's at 77 million views on YouTube alone, and it hit the Billboard Top 100. Artists that I've worked with include, drumroll, Rod Wave, YFN Lucci, K-Camp, Designer, King Loss, Rotimi, CRD Kid, Realist K, and many more major artists that I've been in the studio with or that I've produced with indirectly. So you can also see a check below that got sent to me. This is the paperwork for an admin publishing deal where they paid for my catalog because it was generating so much money, and they cut me a check for $10,000. So producers that I've worked with include TNT, Benji Yang, Twisted Genius, Big White Beats, Dylan Graham, Bobby Critical, Ralph Tiller, GC Beats, B-Rax, Slick Music, Origami, etc. And these are all producers that are either top sellers on BeatStars or Grammy-winning producers or platinum producers. You can see me picture with Bobby Critical here below. So why is any of this relevant? So this is relevant because that's not how it always was for me. I used to be broke in college. I had just 29 cents in my bank account. I was worried about overdraft fees, and I was paying my way through college with 3 different jobs. I was a delivery driver for Jimmy John's. I also worked in the school cafeteria 20 to 30 hours a week, and I was a referee for college volleyball games. And I did all of this while being a student athlete. You can see me pictured on the left there below. And then on the right side, you can see me dunking it in a high school game. So this is how it started. Left is in my parents' basement in 2018. The right is in my college dorm in 2015. So in 4 years, I'd only made $140 from beats. So you can see me spamming people on SoundCloud and making my first beat sale in 2017 for $20. So when I finished school, I'd only made a little bit of money. I was depressed. I quit 3 different times. Family had given up on me, and I had to get a 9-to-5. They told me, go and get a real job. Producing's not going to work out. It'll just be a hobby for you. But I stuck with it. I kept working, period. So I didn't find a magical way to sell beats. I simply found every way that didn't work and was left with the only way that did work. So I went from $0 in 2018 to $10,000 in 2019. And from $10,000 to $30,000 in 2020. So my best month was over $11,000. And what changed specifically for me? That's the question. So I learned 2 key lessons that allowed me to pivot successfully. These 2 lessons were pivotal in my success and allowed me to quit my day job and become a full-time producer in 2020. Lesson number 1, learning the difference between personal systems and mechanical systems. So YouTube and BeatStars, don't get me wrong, they're amazing systems, but they're designed to automate the sales process and minimize human interaction. While Instagram is a networking platform that's designed to humanize the sales process and maximize human interaction. So this is where I got a eureka moment. If I'm as personal as possible, there's absolutely no way for me to lose at this game. So how do I do that specifically, you might ask? Number 1, here's exactly what I did. I personalized the DMs, so no copying and pasting. I made sure to mention their name, all of that stuff. Number 2, I use voice messages. This is the level up for that. So I can make sure that they get a message from me personally. They know I didn't copy paste it, and I can fit a ton more information in there, all while selling them on something. Thirdly, I added in phone calls. So that way I could develop rapport with the artist very quickly. And this allowed me to sell beats even faster. Lastly, I added in Zoom calls. So if we're communicating face to face, we have audio, we have visual, and we have real-time back and forth communication, unlike with voice messaging. So why does this work so well? This is because serious artists don't want AI to make them a beat. They don't want to just communicate through text with producers online. They don't want a mechanical process. They want personal interaction, soul, and emotion. And that's because that's how humans work. So here's lesson 2 that I learned. Volume and leverage will allow me to increase my income without working harder. So here's the definition of volume and leverage. Volume is an amount or quantity of something, especially when great. And leverage is the use of something to its maximum advantage. So I learned volume first. So this is simply working hard and flexing. So I would send 100 messages a day to artists, and I would post 2 to 3 times a week on Instagram. By increasing the volume, we increase the amount of artists that are aware that we exist. Therefore, it increases the likelihood of beat sales. So I applied this, and while this was great, I capped out pretty quick. So I was working up to 12 hours a day, but I still couldn't break past $4,000 a month because I'd run out of hours I could work physically. So this is where leverage comes in. I was selling my beats for $50. So how did I increase my income without working harder? Fun fact, I cut my hours in half when I discovered this. My beats simply became more valuable than a $50 beat lease. So this is at least the way that artists perceived it. So here's a quick lesson. Which car is more valuable? I promise this is important. Is it the left or is it the right? So unless you live under a rock, you know for a fact that it's the Lamborghini, right? It's worth $250,000. It goes well over 200 miles an hour. It looks sleek. It has really expensive parts. You're like, yeah, it's way more valuable, right? But is it 100 times better than the Civic? So the answer to that is no, it's not. So it doesn't go 100 times faster. It doesn't have 100 times better gas mileage. It's not 100 times more reliable. It's actually 100 times less reliable. And it doesn't cost 100 times more to build. So overall, the answer is no to every question. But this is why it's called perceived value, because everybody wants the Lamborghini. Nobody wants the Honda. By repackaging the value, we're able to charge more money for a product or service. So don't get me wrong, we're offering more value too, so the artist is still getting a steal out of it. But it's our choice to either get paid or stay poor. My choice is to raise my prices. But doesn't it hurt the artist if we charge more? So not only does it not hurt them, it actually helps them. Artists won't release cheap beats. I remember sending 90 beats to an artist. They made 14 records and they didn't release any of them. So if they pay attention. Thirdly, they will make it their best release ever. I remember charging an artist $1,000 for a beat, and you better believe that they made a music video for that. They made a whole visual. They marketed the beat, and they made it their best release ever. So here's a quick recap on what we covered as far as training goes. Number 1, be as personal as possible. Use those 4 tips to be more personal. Number 2, increase the amount of volume that you're putting out so that you can increase the amount of artists that know you exist. Number 3 is to increase the amount of leverage that you're getting. So increasing your pricing is the easiest way to improve your leverage. So this worked for you, you might say, but will it work for me? That's the important question. So this will 100% work for you if it's contingent on 4 different things. Number 1, your beats are really good. If you have trash beats, then disregard everything I said. It won't work for you. Number 2, you have more than 0 followers, essentially. So if you don't have a lot of followers, and what I mean by a lot is like at least 200, then you don't need to be trying to sell your beats. You need to build a brand. Number 3, you spend time mastering the process. So this is something that a mentor told me. He said that work that works on you is better than work that works for you. And what I mean by this is that if you tried something one time and it worked 100% of the time, you wouldn't have to get good at it. And so when you try something and it doesn't work and you come at it from other angles, you spend time mastering that process, then by the time that it starts working for you, then it's already worked on you so much that you've become the person that you need to be in order to be successful. Number 4, you apply yourself and you simply do it. So a lot of people walk around listening to YouTube videos. They listen to every different philosophy. Yeah, it all works. But if you try to do them all at the same time, or you simply don't apply yourself and don't do any of them, then it can't work for you. So have I taught anybody how to do this? Short answer, yeah. I've taught 15 plus producers how to make over $1,000 a month from their beats. So if you don't believe me, here's a few screenshots, not even half of them, of producers that I've helped to scale to over $1,000 a month from their beats. I'll give you a second just to read some of these. Okay. So I helped Teaser to go from $200 a month to $4,000 a month. So you can see he has 1,500 followers currently at the time of this video. And we went from 200 to 4,000 a month. So he's saying in this testimonial, he's a full-time producer. He doesn't do anything else except produce every day. So when we started, he had less than 1,000 followers. He had sold 9 exclusives to one artist that was independent, and he made $3,500 off of that deal alone. So we'd reached $4,000 a month in just a matter of months, not years. I also helped Manic to go from $800 a month to $3,000 a month. So you can see he has around 1,600 followers at the time of this video. When we started, he also had less than 1,000 followers, and he had no major placements. So he had never used DMs to sell beats before. All of his sales, all of that $800 a month was coming from YouTube from a viral beat that he had. So we got to 1,000 within a week of him simply using everything that I taught him. We reached 3,000 a month within 45 days. I also helped Red John to go full time. You can see he has major placements, but he still wasn't able to live off of publishing alone. So he hit me up and he said, hey, can we supplement adding in your strategy alongside my placements, and that way I can go full time. And we did exactly that. So it only took him a few months of being consistent to hit those goals. I also helped Dagger to add an extra $1,000 a month into his beat selling business. So he was only selling beats on YouTube. We made the switch to Instagram, and he went from $1,500 a month to $2,500 a month. And we did all of this within 90 days. So I also helped John to go from $700 to $2,500 a month. So he 3x'd his beat sales. And this was simply a just add water scenario. He was ready to explode. He was doing a lot of the right things already. And whenever he applied the knowledge that I was teaching, all he needed was the right process. And that allowed him to 3x his sales. So you can implement this training today. You can try to fill in the gaps. You can try to experiment with it. But it took me 5 years to go full time. So are you willing to burn 5 years of your life attempting to experiment and make this work for you? So what's more important to you? I'll ask you it this way. Is it time or is it money? You might say, why would I pay you for something when I could just try it out for free? So this is because we can always get more money. But when our time runs out, that's it. We only have one life, so we want to make sure that we spend as little of our finite resource of time as possible and as much of our money as possible. And this is what an entrepreneur named Alex Hormozi says. He uses money to pay down a time debt. So that's the ignorance of not knowing what to do. So he pays somebody to learn how to do it, and then he goes out and does it. And now he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars by doing that. So this is how you fast track your way to being successful. I've invested well over $30,000 in my career and self-education. This is paying people for consultations, paying people to be a coach or a mentor. So Benjamin Franklin said this: empty the coins of your purse into your mind, and your mind will fill your purse with coins. So purse, simply a wallet at the time, right? So this is what I say. I say this: my bank account is a direct reflection of how much I've invested into myself. So what could you do with an extra $1,000 a month minimum coming in from beats? So the first thing you might say is like, hey, I could just invest it towards lifestyle. I could go on a vacation. I could buy a bunch of shoes. I can buy a bunch of clothes. I can buy a bunch of nice things for my significant other. Or you could go and use that $1,000 a month, put it on your income statement, and move into a much nicer house. or an apartment, right? You could also invest it, right? So this is something that I put in. If you're only getting 5% return on your investment, which is low, it should be 8 or higher. But if you're only getting 5% and you invest $1,000 a month for 20 years, you will more than triple your investment and have almost $400,000 before you're even close to retiring, right? So that's what 1,000 could do for you. What about your dream studio? So whether your taste is in the studio on the right or the studio on the left, you could invest that $1,000 a month into music equipment. And I know this because I did this. I was making anywhere from $400 to $1,200 a month before I quit my job. And the landlords were jealous because all those Amazon packages were not something that they could afford on their budget, but I could because I had 2 sources of income coming in. So I bought whatever I want, whenever I wanted to. This was happening pretty much nonstop. So what is my offer? You may say, like, what is the angle you're coming from? What are you trying to pitch me on? So this is what I want to do for you. I want to, first of all, take you from where you're at to at least $1,000 a month from your beats alone, minimum. Secondly, if you're already at $1,000 a month, you're like, hey, that doesn't apply to me. I don't think you could help me get past that. You've already seen the testimonials. I've taken 6 producers that went from $1,000 a month to $2,000, $3,000, or $4,000 a month from beats. And I have gotten anywhere from $5,000 to $11,000 in a month from my own beats. So thirdly, I want to show you step by step how to do this for yourself so that I can teach you how to fish instead of simply doing it for you. And then once my help is gone, you can't do it for yourself. I also want to give you the tactics and the tools that I use. And this will fast track your way to success because it's the exact process, the exact strategy that I implement on a day-to-day basis. Lastly, I want to give you the mentorship that you need so that you can ask questions and I can personally answer them in real time so that you can fast track your way to success. So how does it work? I teach through Zoom or I teach on my private Discord. So that's a one-on-one or a group setting. So I give you my exact script so that you can copy it, implement it, and get results from it right away. I give you weekly targets and manageable goals so that you can start getting wins under your belt, start getting that confidence to go out and over succeed. Lastly, if you still have questions and you're like, well, how do I access this? How do I get help from you? Right? So if you want a strategy session, let me offer this to you for free. So you can book a Zoom call with me and we'll talk about if coaching is what you actually need. If it isn't, I promise you, I don't coach everybody. I turn away most producers because if this is something that you actually want and you actually need, then believe me that I will vouch for you and I will make sure that we can make this happen. Secondly, we'll cover the path you can take specifically to reach your goals. Also, at the end of the call, if we're a good fit to work, I will get you resources, mentorship you need ASAP, and get you plugged into that pipeline so that you can start getting results immediately. So how do you book a call with me? First, click the purple button below, pretty obvious. So it's going to take you to an application page. This will take you 60 seconds tops to fill out. So if all of that looks good on the application, it's going to graduate you so that you'll see my calendar and you can take a look at that. Pick the best time that works for you and then show up on time so we can get the full hour. So if you show up 15 minutes late, 30 minutes late, first of all, I may have booked somebody else for that time slot and just canceled our session. But also we won't get the full hour, so I won't be able to take a deep dive into your business. So make sure you show up on time so we can get the most out of our time. Hopefully I'll talk with you soon. If all of that sounds good, then make sure you book that call with me. It's for free. And I promise you, I won't hard sell you on anything. I'll just make sure that we're a good fit to work. And I will do a deep dive in your business and tell you if it makes sense or not to get mentorship. So to recap, we learned about using personal system versus mechanical system. We learned about leverage and we learned about using volume. So if you apply those 3 things, then you'll get there eventually. But if you want to save 5 years of your life that I can't personally get back, then make sure you book that strategy call with me and I will fast track you to getting at least $1,000 a month so you can invest that money back into the business, into the music gear that you want and you need, or you can invest it into lifestyle, living in a nicer place, or you can simply invest it in the stock market and triple your investment in the next 20 years. I personally recommend investing the money back into your business so that you can scale it up faster and live off of it full time. So if that sounds good, book the call with me. I'll talk with you soon, and thanks for watching the training.